Namaste and welcome back to Waking Up with Mindful Serenity Yoga. And we're going to continue with our little exercise of discussing a concept from the jar. It's an impromptu discussion for about 4 minutes. I will pull a concept from the jar and begin to talk on it. There will be no revision or addition of this video, so unfortunately you're going to get what I give here. And I have no notes or anything, so again, it's going to be very impromptu. So let me go right ahead and pull a question from the jar. Let's see what I get here. Wow, that's a big one. Take a deep breath. I'm going to blow out. And I take that breath as a visual and physical cue to help me to get beyond my ego so that that's not the thing answering this question. So it's the wiser part of myself that we all have within us, and I try to access that a little bit. Not that I'm wise. Whatever is within me, that's the same thing that's within you is wise, is what I'm trying to say. Well, speaking of ego, the word I got is ego. And what is the ego? Ego is that part of ourselves that is illusionary. It's not real. It's the delusion we carry of who we think we are. It's a self-concept, an identity that we created based on our experiences in life, based on all the stuff we stored that we had the opportunity of experiencing in our lives, especially if it was emotionally charged in either a negative or positive way. So our ego is our identity, is what we've become identified with. Now, I had the opportunity of listening to Dr. Sue Morter for the first time last evening after I had written a little piece on how we have to process through our kashas to get to the Ananda Kasha, which is that bliss consciousness, that Satchitananda that we all have at the deepest core of who we are, our true selves, I guess you would call it. Some would refer to it as a soul. And so I was talking about how we had to go through these kashas, and just ironically that night while I had that on my mind, I was looking through YouTube, and sure enough a video came up with Andre Dukum, I think you pronounce his name, and he had an interview with Dr. Sue Morter, and she discusses this. Now the reason why I bring this up when I only have 4 minutes to talk about ego is that she gave the visual description of it being like this. We come into this incarnation like a splat on a table, and we just plop right down, and then all of a sudden this body, mind, and breath, which we truly are, gets dispersed over the table. And those outer ridges are in contact with the external world. The sense of who we are is in the middle. That doesn't seem to move, but this sense of who we are branches out into the external world. We become so identified with the external world. We have the sense that we need to survive in this world. We have to make sense of it. We need to do something with it. We become, how do I please the people around me? How do I manipulate the environment so it suits me? How do I survive, basically? So we become all about surviving in this experience that we have as human beings. That survival process, that survival identification is the ego. Now, she also mentioned how the ego knows when it comes down, that part of our personal mind, that self-concept that we create, the mind knows when it comes down that it is here to serve something greater. But we're on the fringes of this world, expanding outward, not truly understanding it. So we're grasping for anything we can from the external world, and we're identifying with that. And we create a story to identify with, because we have lost contact with what we really are and what we're really here to serve. So we begin to serve the story, and that's what the ego does. It's the server of the story, this idea we have of who we are and why we're here and what this world is around us and what we're out to do with it. And a lot of times that story involves the earth or the world being here to serve us, life being here to serve us, rather than the truth of us as the soul in the center of this big splat here to serve life. So that's the ego. The ego is this delusion that we have that we're here to serve the story of who we think we are. And the world is here, this delusion we have that life is here to help us maintain that story rather than being who we truly are. So the ego is the antithesis of that which is in the middle, that which we are, which is an integration, hopefully someday, of the mind, body, breath, the mind, body, soul. Anyway, that's it. I went over my time. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.